Hey guys, I am here under my car. This is my '08 Tundra, and I want to make a video to hopefully help some other people and save them some money. So let me tell you about the problem. So I have been having trouble getting my Tundra to shift into four-wheel drive, like it's not going in at all. The little 4-high light just keeps flashing, so nothing. So I've gotten on some forums and a little bit on the internet and just did a lot of reading. And turns out that the problem could be the actuator motor inside here that engages the four-wheel drive. But I haven't found really good information or really detailed, or at least a step-by-step video how to fix it. So the first thing I did is there is some metal housing that you'll just pull off. There's just a number of bolts. It's really simple to pull that off, and you're going to go ahead and use a 12mm nut to pull that off. It's very minimal tools, comes off very simply, and fortunately for Tundra owners, you'll have lots of room under here to work, so it's not very difficult. And so the black box that we're looking at here is the shift actuator. There are actually two motors on this, one to do the 4-high and the other one to do the 4-low. The bottom of the unit here is the 4-low. The top one up here is the 4-high. Most of the time you won't need to mess with the bottom one. I kind of found out the hard way and pulled the 4-low off first. And so I'll kind of troubleshoot you what I had to go through to kind of figure this out. What I'm going to do, because I pulled off the 4-low before, I think I'm safe to go ahead and pull the 4-low off because the 4-high and 4-low basically are mirror images of each other. You have got 1, 2, 3 wiring harnesses that are just on clips. You can just pinch those and pull those off. See if I can keep from burning myself on my exhaust. And there is a little vacuum line up here. One thing I did find, you want to inspect that vacuum line. I found that the end of it was quite worn and had little cracks in it, and that's partly where I think the problem initiated or originated from, because as you can tell, it's really clean in here. I try to keep my truck pretty clean. There's not a lot of dirt under here. The seals were all great when I took this apart. Didn't have to do anything special to it, so I think it's pretty much where it got water in here is that vacuum hose line. So you'll have enough slack here that you can actually trim the end of it off and pop that back on. But when you access this here, you'll go ahead and take this little vacuum line off here, and this clip right here just holds everything right together. There's a little pit lever here that you'll just lift up on, and this will just get that out of the way. When you're done, that just pushes right back on and locks in there. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws to remove. It's going to be the same with the top, and you can access all of this without having to take this off. Apparently the dealerships, to replace these, if they find out that it's bad, of course they're going to tell you a motor's bad, they're not going to take it apart like we're going to do. They are going to have to take apart the whole differential. Apparently it's like a 10-hour job for an experienced mechanic, and they'll charge you, I heard somewhere up to possibly even for about $4,000 to do all this. Because the high-low actuator rods go into the differential, and they're held in there with a retaining washer, and I believe there's even a screw in here. And so the only way to get those rods out and part of this whole housing that pulls out is to crack the differential, and of course you're going to have to drop the drive shaft here, and it's just a huge job and a hassle and something that you don't want to have to do. So this is quick, simple. You will not require any tools, provided that the motor is fixable in here. If not, you can get online and just order this housing with the motor and just take the motor off the one that you ordered and pop it in here, and I'll show you what we're going to do. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead and take these 4 or 5 screws off and show you what the inside looks like. Okay, so we got the half off here, and this is the actuator rod for the 4 low. There's a gear tooth setting here. This will move in and out. Now, if your car is in neutral and you put the park brake on, this will pop all the way back and forth. When it is out of 4 low, it's going to be engaged and pushed all the way in just like that. The next thing is I'm going to show you the other side with the motor and show you how everything works. Okay, so this is what the inside of it looks like. I'm going to get some close-ups here. This guy comes out and it'll move. You got your motor. These are the contacts that some people on the forums say that they'll break loose and you'll have a bad connection right here. And if your 4-wheel drive kind of goes in and out, like it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, this is probably the culprit. Now in my case, it had gotten some water, and so this whole motor housing was corroded. I tried turning the gear here with a screwdriver. It would barely turn. And so to take this out, you'll take this screw, you'll take that screw and that screw, and this whole motor should just lift right out. Now, these are normally soldered from the factory, and so to get this out, just pivot it, and it will pop these solders right here, and it comes right out. I was able to free and unseize my motor with the rust on it, and just touched it to the 2 battery terminals with some alligator clips. That's a way to test it before you put it all back, and it worked. So I was lucky. I did not have to replace a single thing. Now it looked terrible in there, just the motor itself. But fortunately, I think these motors are pretty durable and robust, and none of the windings got too damaged inside, I'm presuming. So I was able just to plop that back in, resolder these connections right here, and it worked like a charm. Now, one thing to pay attention to is this may drop out. If this does, you'll need to know where to put it. So basically, you kind of want it in that position right there. This guy, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is a little switch. This guy will turn, it'll ramp up on this, and it will engage and disengage the switch. Main thing though is, kind of getting this back where it's supposed to be. I'm sure your gears are about, yay wide in there, so if you don't get it exactly on the right tooth, you'll probably be okay. But that rod that I showed you before, that's the important one. If it's pulled all the way out, your car will not drive. So make sure that's shoved all the way in. If there's play in it, and you can pull that in and out. If you happen to bump it or do something with it, make sure it's shoved all the way in there. This is the gasket that goes all the way around that, so you want to kind of inspect it and make sure you don't have any breaks or tears. Mine, I have about 90,000 miles on my car, and so it is in perfect condition. So I am not going to put anything on this. I'm not going to put any replacement silicone gaskets or anything on this, because this one is in perfect condition. And then you'll just pop this all back on, and it should work like a charm. Now, your instrument dash may light up like a Christmas tree afterwards. That's okay, because you've taken this apart a little bit. So the thing that I suggest is just driving this down to, say, O'Reilly's or AutoZone. They have the tester tools that they can plug in and diagnostic port, and they can just hit a reset, and it will clear off all your error codes. I had a whole bunch of error codes afterwards, and I was worried that everything wasn't going to engage and lock in correctly. Like I was trying to engage the 4 low after taking this apart, and it wasn't engaging correctly. Now my 4 high was clicking in, but the 4 low wasn't. After he cleared the error codes, the 4 low locked in as well. But this is the tooth set position about where you want it. And the other side is going to look exactly the same for the 4 high. That's the one that most people will have a problem with. And I would probably start there before taking the bottom one off at the 4 low. Just a little bitty short screwdriver. You're going to have one of those nubby screwdrivers to get at it, just because it's kind of, the back screwdriver or the back screw is a little awkward to get at, but it pops off just exactly the same way. I really hope this helps somebody. I've really never worked on cars too much. I just learn a lot of stuff off the internet from watching other people. And so thank you for other people that have posted little bits of information, and hopefully this is a compilation of all the information to actually how to do and get in there and fix this, and do it simply. In this case, this was free. This didn't cost me a penny. So I'm very fortunate for that. I hope this guys helps. If you have any questions, just message me below. Thanks.